Yeah, you can try to run the code in your computer, in your laptop, in your desktop. Okay. If you do not try, you do not know what is the error. You do not know how to handle the error. Okay. So yeah, you still have time, and the problem in your mid exam will be similar to this one. Okay. So if you can do well on this example, I believe that you can do well also in your mid exam. The next section, it will be about the ORM based CRUD. The ORM based CRUD means the object relationship management. So we are not using the SQL, but we are using another way to deal with the data access, and we are using the Python code for the CRUD. Now, let's take a look on this system architecture. I call it the system architecture 02. So in this system architecture, there actually some of them are similar, but it shows a little bit different in terms of the details. For example, now we are going to use the same template, but the main.py, it will be only the link. So we are just giving the link, and all the detail about the setting and etc. I will create a new Python file, crud.py, and there will be another separate database for connecting to the models, in this case the users, and there is another kind of file to create the models. So last week when we create the database, we use a new class, Python class, and we use the models.py. Now let's try to use this mechanism. How if we use this mechanism and how it will work? Is it the same with the SQL base, or there's some kind of issues or problems when you use with the ORM base? Let's create a new project and let's use this code structure. So maybe I will make the new project with this name, user Mgmt. As you know, we will have the min.py. So I can say that this is the entry point for the fast API and the roots. And then the database.py, it is the connection and the session setup. M, or this is the models for the database structure. And then CRUD. So some literatures, they call it, this is the controller. So it will control your database. Yeah, in this case, I'm using CRUD, CRUD, create, read, update, delete. And then the templates. So we are showing the result into the HTML UI. I'm still using the same HTML, so I will not change the HTML. I'm using the base, navbar, index, and form. So later on, let's get back how to copy and paste this file into your project. Now let's create a new project. Maybe let's put the name user mgmt. For the DB, yeah, I'm using the SQLite. It will be generated after you run the code. Okay, now let's create a new project. So if some of you have issues with the Fast API later on, so you can directly make the pure Python. Okay, so you don't need to make the Fast API because actually they are the same. You just need to put everything. You just need to install the libraries in your Python directory, And then once you install all the library like Fast API, Jinja, Python multipart, then yeah, you can run it easily. Okay. So you don't need the Fast API. Because I have the Fast API, yeah, I will just run with the Fast API. Now let's make the user Mgmt. Okay. So this is a new project. I'm going to select the existing Python file. Mhm. Oh, okay. So sorry, it takes some time to stop the process. Mhm. Okay, this is the new project. As I mentioned to you, there will be additional files for this section. You're going to create min.py, database.py, models.py, and CRUD.py. Now, let's take a look one by one. Let's create the database.py at the first time. Let's create database.py. This is a Python file. So we have database.py. And then we are using the SQL Alchemy. So last week we used this SQL Alchemy to create the database. So we are using the engine. And then we are using the declarative base to create the base. And we are using the session maker to create the session. In this case, I'm going to create the database.db. For the engine, I'm going to create the engine based on this URL. Yeah, this is only the parameters. And the session local, it means once I already create the database, I'm going to create a session. Make sure that the auto commit is false, auto plus is false, and the binding will be the engine. The engine is here. If you do the auto commit true, every time you will have a new data, it will be auto committed. It's not that good, and usually it takes more memory. So it's better to use false, and auto flush is also false. And then we need to declare this base. Okay, this is the base when you connect to your database. When I want to connect to the database, let's just run this function get db. So the db will be an object from the session local. If everything is good, then we can run the db. If you already finished, let's close the db. And then we create the models. Let's create models.py. If you use the SQL, you need to create your database using the SQL, which is the create function. So the SQL has the command field. But for this ORM, you need to create a class. And this class name is user. You can define the table name users, and then you can import from the SQL Alchemy the column integer string. For example, you also want to include float. You can also include the float and etc. So as long as those are the class from the Python. So we have ID. The ID will be an integer and it will be a primary key and the indexing is true. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's the indexing. The name will be a column which is a string. Email, it is a column which is a string. It is a column which is integer. Gender, it is a column which is a string, and city, which it is a column which is a string. So this is the format, the same with the ERD that we have at the first part. So the definition of the table is a little bit different with SQL. If you are using SQL, the column you need to specify text. Okay. And the age you need to specify this is number. But here you can specify with string, integer, which is the class of the Python. After we have database and after we have the models, let's deal with the CRUD.py. Okay. So CRUD.py, I'm going to create a Python file, CRUD. This CRUD will inherit the session from the SQL Alchemy, and we need to call the user. We are calling all the members. So in this case, I'm going to collect all the data from the user. I want to call the member by the ID. So I'm using the session and then call the user ID, which is integer. So in this case, I'm using the query from the user and filter. Filter the user ID, which is the same with the user ID as the input, and I want to get the data at the first. The second part of the CRUD, you can get the save member and the delete member. For the save member, if we use the ORM, we have the DB session, we have the data, which is a dictionary, and then we have a user ID, which is integer, and it starts from none. The same with the save in the previous project. If the user ID, it means if we have the user ID, let's do the update. First, let's get the member ID. After we get the member ID, let's put those data into the variable user. And then for every key and the value, let's set the attribute user, key, and value. So this is based on the model. So this is the key, 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 and key. So those are the key, and then the value will be the data itself. If we don't have the user ID, then we will create the new data. So creating new data means I'm going to create from the user. Okay. So do you know this one? Star data. So star data, it means this is a pointer to the data. We are going to collect the data. So the data will be from the HTML. After we collect all the data in the form of dictionary, we put those data into the user class. So the user class will be on the models. This is the user class. And the data that we use is the base. Base is here using the database. This is the declarative base. So this data, actually, this is a format of data based on the base. And then after you have those data, don't forget to add the data. We are adding the user into the DB. So after we finish, either it is updating or creating the data, so we'll do the commit. So commit means we are submitting the data into the database. Once we submit the data into the database, then the database will be updated with the new data. The last one is delete. In the delete, we will get the member ID. After we have the member ID, check whether the user is available or not. If the user is available, then delete the user. And then commit. Okay. So this is the CRUD.py. Now, yeah, we need to have the main function or the main part of the FAST API. So let's copy and paste this main.py. Oh, we have the main.py. Okay, let me update from here. So this is the header. I think the header is the same with the other header. You have the FAST API, request, form, and depends. And then we will redirect the response. We use the Jinja. And then we use the session later from the SQL Alchemy. And we are importing the models, CRUD, and database. So what are they? Models. It means this is from the models.py. CRUD. This is the CRUD.py. Database. This is database.py. So we are importing those Python file into the main function or the main part of the FAST API. Here we create the object of the FAST API, and then we use the Jinja templates, and then we find the model. So the models we call the base, and then create all based on the database engine. It means, yeah, we are creating the table on the start time. The remaining, yeah, will be related to the home. For example, this is the home page. So you can put on the below part. So if you go to the root, you will go to the home, and then we are using the request. Now, it is a little bit different. When you use the SQL, you just need one parameter, which is request. But when you are using the ORM, you need to define the session. Session means something that you need to run the database before you run the function. Here we run the database getDB. So what is getDB? Here getDB is this one. We are going to run the session or the local session. Once the session local runs, we can do this. For example, yeah, we have the CRUD.get all members. What is get all members? This is the function here, get all members. So we have one session, and then we want to get all the users from the data. After we have all the data, we again just get the request and then call the HTML file and then pass by the data or the users into the HTML file. Next is the user form. So it is the same with the previous project, but it is a little bit different because we are trying to get the session. Again, we need to check the session, and because we are using the form, first we need to check the member by the ID. So this is from the CRUD, get member by ID. So we have get member by ID means I'm going to check whether the ID is available or not. So it is to filter the ID, and I'm going to check the first data. If the data is available, then I will put the user ID. If the user ID is available, I will get this data and then put it into the variable user. But if the user ID is not available, user equals to none. So we will open the form.html and then we will pass the data user. Next is the user save. The user save is similar to the previous project. We need to define what are the forms that we have. So the process save, we have the name, which is a string, and it is from the form. It is a required data. Email, this is also a string. It is also a required data. It is integer. Form, which is required data, and so on. So they are still the same with the previous project parameters. But now we have another new parameter, which is the database session connection. You're going to connect to the database, get the DB, and we put it into the session. Here, we have a kind of condition. Actually, I don't need this one, but yeah, this is just for in case. This is just for the case. If you cannot get the user ID, but in most of the case, it is okay. But if you cannot use the user ID immediately, you can use this one. So maybe if you make the database with different kind of data type, you cannot get the integer value. So we need to make the user ID into the integer value if we find the user ID. So this condition, if the user ID is true and the user ID is digit, so yeah, let's make it as the integer user ID. Because sometimes we do not know if there is a kind of problem like it can be like 1.0. So we can make it as integer because we are going to check this into the database. If we cannot find the data, so let be the user, the actual ID becomes null. So the data will be name equals to the name, email equals to the email, age equals to the age, gender equals to the gender, and city equals to the city. So I'm going to call the CRUD save the member. So save member means this function. So I'm going to save the member based on the session, based on the data, and based on the user ID. So here, the data means this dictionary. Okay, this is a dictionary. So after we have this dictionary, we will put this into the DB, and the ID will be the actual ID. So we will check from this one. If the user ID is not available, then it means we are creating a new data. If the user ID is available, it means we are updating the data. Okay. And then the last one, we can put the delete. So the delete, we have the function name process delete. We need to get the user ID. In this case, we are going to use this link or the URL. And then this is the information about the user ID. Again, we have one parameter to connect to the local database session. And once we have the user ID, we are going to delete the member if the user ID exists. So you can get this function here. So the function will check the member ID. If the member ID exists, then you're going to delete it. Then you're going to commit. So it means you're going to update the database. Now, before running the code, we still have one more thing to do. That is the HTML file. So we need to put all the project HTML file from the previous project into the folder templates in this project. Okay. I do not want to copy paste because we already have those things. So copy all of the HTML files and paste into the folder templates of the new project. Once you finish, then run the code. Yeah, if you want to create one by one, it's okay. Also okay. But yeah, I want to show you when you submit the file into the e-class for the mid exam. I already show you, so you can just click here and then go to the open in. We can go to the Explorer. Then you can see the projects that you have. So from this project, yeah, you can, for example, you can zip up to. Okay. So you can make the zip file, and then after you create the zip file, you can submit it to the e-class. If you can see here, the file size is very small, 8 kilobyte, because we are using the Python from the computers. But for the first part, you can see here, the file size is 49 megabyte. It is very big because the virtual environment has been included in this section. So I'm going to avoid the virtual environment. Let's just use the Python for this. Now, you can see the user Mgmt. This is the new project that we have. You can see the user management, that the project that we do before. You can see the templates. These templates include base, form, index, and navbar. So I'm going to copy these templates. And after that, I put into the user Mgmt, and then I just paste into this project. So using this one, you can see that now we have the templates here. So the templates has been updated, and then you can just run your project. Okay, let me run. Okay, this is the same. Okay, we don't have any change to the HTML. The only change was only on the backend. The back end now we are using the ORM. We are not using the SQL. Now let's see if we add the member. Path, email, path@abc.com. For example, it's for example 30, gender is male, city is Yongin. Okay, so we have the new data. We want to edit the data. For example, Park has been moved to yeah, Ansan, and then his age already added by 31. So let's save the user. Oops. Okay, this might happen. Okay, so if this happen, you need to check what is this error. Integer object has no attribute is digit. Okay, maybe the is digit. The is digit. It was in the main.py, I guess. I think this should be is digit with the big D. Let me check. Mm. Okay, then let me just change this one. Maybe I don't know. It works in my computer, but why it doesn't work in this computer? Okay, let me change this one. Okay. Let me change to Ansan, for example, and then save user. Okay, it works. So so let me just change the logic. Okay, so I'm not using the is digit. I'm not sure why it doesn't work in this computer, but actually in my computer it works. So I just remove the is digit and then I just give the simple if. Okay. The simple if means if we know that the user ID exists, then let's just use the user ID. If the user ID does not exist, let's put none. Okay. So the actual ID will be either the user ID or it will be none. Okay, please, if you have the same issue with my computer, please change this one. Okay, after you have this one, let's see. Now I'm going to edit this one, and because we have everything here, let's delete. Delete, okay. Then the data has been deleted. Okay. So we learned already the user management. Okay. As I show you before, we have at least 3 pages, but we have 2. Because the first is the user list. It is to show all the members or the users. And then these 2 pages, actually, they are 1 page. The information is only based on the user. If you don't have any user, you will put the word add user. If you have a username, then you will do the editing. And then you will delete the user once you want to delete it from the existing data. This is for a review. Okay. Yeah, this is the first project that you have. Yeah, we are creating the main, and then we are creating for everything in the main section. So you put all the thing in the main, and including the model, you put also in the main.py. But for the second architecture, yeah, we split the Python file into CRUD.py, main.py, database.py, models.py. Using this ORM, this is more clear to separate your function. Using the SQL, you put everything in one file. You put everything in one file. So which one is better? It's up to you. Okay. Sometimes people say that the SQL is better because it is fast. Yeah, that's okay. But some people say that it is better to use the Python because in Python command, it is only in the back end. So it doesn't connect to the front end. So yeah, it depends on how you are utilizing the database connection. But this ORM can give you a better separation. So you separate the database connection, you separate the models, you separate the CRUD, and you separate the link. So it is more obvious for this separation in order to make a good information system. Okay, so I think that's all that we learned today. So we have the system architecture, what is system architecture, and you learn about the backend. So we have two backends, the SQL and the ORM. And then we also look at the front end. Okay, any questions?